Hi, I think I'm live. So welcome to the Thursday night fireside chat. Oops, my screen has now disappeared. I can't see myself. Let's see if I can get it back. Don't know. Oh, there we go. So welcome. If you're here, do say hi. If you've got any questions, you can pop them in the chat. So tonight's really exciting. We're talking about sleep. I'm just trying to get this up on my phone so I can see if anyone pops in and asks any questions so I don't miss them. So, yes, sleep, a necessary thing that we have to do, and if we don't do it, it doesn't make us ill. So tonight, what I'm going to talk about is what it is, how much you need, and then different types of sleep, and then how you can improve it. I'm going to be basing this on the how to improve it. I'm going to base it on the REST program, which is the second generation cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. It was taught to me by a sleep psychologist, and yeah, there's some really good techniques in that, so I'll go through some of the techniques. And then I've also, I think I posted it last week, you can download the my magical tips to sleep. So I'll repost that again today in line with doing this talk. So that's got all the tips for the REST program to help with sleep, and you've also got a tip sheet at the back, so you can sort of tick off sort of things to do to try and help improve your sleep patterns. So welcome, and like I say, any question, if you're here watching live, do say hi, give me a wave. If you've got any questions, pop them in the chat and I will try and answer them as best I can. If I don't know, I will say I'm really sorry I don't know, but I will find out and get back to you, so don't think I will forget. And if I do forget or I've got waylaid, just give me a bit of a nudge and say, Julie, you never got back to me about whatever. So, right, let me find the notes. So I did actually manage to write up some notes. I started it last night and finished it today. So, yeah, so yesterday morning I had nothing prepared, so I have got a little bit prepared now. So, here we go. So, what is sleep? So that's the time when your brain does some of its processing. It switches between the two types of sleep, which is non-REM and then REM sleep. So non-REM is when the eyes don't move, and REM sleep is what is rapid eye movement, not the group. So your eyes are moving all the time. And if you have done a lot of learning that day, you'll need more non-REM sleep. But it's worth considering that if you lack stimulation, you won't need as much sleep, you won't be as tired. Okay, so like I said, there's two types of sleep. There's REM and non-REM. So REM sleep, this is the rapid eye movement sleep, so your eyes are moving all the time. That is when the brain is active. This is when you're dreaming. It allows emotional venting, so in dreams you might act and do things that you would never do in day-to-day life. I used to regularly have dreams about having screaming matches with the manager that I used to work with, which I never would have had the nerve to do, sort of in my awake state, as much as it would have made me feel better. In REM, you're able to wake up really easily, and you are also, REM sleep, you're also sort of paralysed, so you're not getting up and moving around and doing. So if you are having a sort of a fight with somebody, you're not actually doing that in your sleep. If you wake up with sleep paralysis, don't panic. It just means your brain's still asleep. It just needs a few seconds to catch up before it sort of lets you start moving again. So like I say, don't panic, it will reverse itself. Non-REM sleep. This is when the brain is really quiet, but the hippocampus in the brain is sorting out the thoughts of the day. it was explained to us that think of the brain as an office desk. Okay, so you've got your office desk and your thoughts are a piece of paper. So every time you have a thought, it's written on a piece of paper and put on the desk. So imagine how many thoughts you have a minute, an hour, a day, and imagine the state of that desk by the end of the day. How many pieces of paper there will be? There'll be stuff that you need to remember, like, oh, I need to take the dog to the vet tomorrow, or I need to go to the doctors, or I need to take my medication. And then there's stuff that you don't really need to remember, like, oh, I dropped spaghetti down my top today, or I stood in a puddle this morning. So your brain will start filtering through all those thoughts and things and decide what it needs to file away and keep. So we have to keep the thought that I've got to take the dog to the vet tomorrow, but we don't need to keep the thing about dropping the spaghetti down our tops. So that's why if you struggle to remember what you've eaten sort of yesterday or 2 days ago, it's just that your brain doesn't think it's necessary to keep it, so it's got rid of it. Okay. If you don't have enough non-REM sleep, so you don't have enough sleep where your brain is able to process those thoughts, that can lead to anxiety, stress and depression. But I did forget to go over. Right, deep REM. So going back to the REM when the eyes are moving and you're having your dreams. That's important for working on memories. Okay, so but waking up during REM can cause some agitation, some worry, or some panic attacks. So to help you calm yourself down, get up, and that will allow the cortex of the brain to start waking up, and it will calm you down. So if you wake up suddenly anxious or in a panic attack, try and get out of bed and just have a little walk and take some deep breaths, and hopefully you should settle back down. It's just that you've woken up suddenly in the middle of your REM sleep, so it just takes the brain a minute to catch up with you. Getting enough sleep helps with overall function, and we all know that if you don't sleep, everything looks like crap. No matter how good the day is, you're short-tempered, you don't want to talk to anybody, and you just have no motivation if you're not sleeping. And if that continues for days and days, that you can become seriously ill. It's important to remember, on the days where you're sort of, you think you've got nothing to do and you think, oh, I'll just have a little sleep, that's nap. And if you're napping for too long, that will take away the pressure for you to sleep at night. So if you're going to have an afternoon nap and you're not routinely doing that, and there's not a reason for doing it other than you've got nothing else to do, unless you had what they call a traumatic brain injury, like a head injury or a stroke or something like that, set yourself an alarm so you only have about 20 minutes. Because again, if you sleep for too long, you won't sleep at night, and eventually you'll start to become nocturnal, and that doesn't help. Especially, if you're off sick and then you start becoming, you go to bed later and later because you have to get up the next morning, and then you're sleeping later and later in the morning, you become nocturnal, so you don't really want that. So how do you get to sleep? What makes you sleep? The body produces a hormone called melatonin, and that's made in a gland in the brain called the pineal gland. To make melatonin, your body needs to process natural light from being outside, and natural light comes in through your eyes, through the cornea, to the back of the eye, onto the optic nerve, and through to the pineal gland, where the melatonin is made. And the more light pressure you have on the gland, so the more light time you're out, the more melatonin you'll make, and the melatonin is released in the night to keep you asleep. So what you need to do is get out into the daylight. Even if it's a cloudy day, let me just get some numbers for you. I have to find them in my notes. So the strength of light is known as lux, and let me just look at, I'm probably looking at the wrong one. So just excuse me a minute. Oh no, I've got the right one. So on a bad day, for example, like in the middle of winter, November, the amount of lux that you'll get through from the light is about 3,000. On a really clear sky with no pollution, blue sky, beautiful summer's day, you're looking at getting 100,000. But even on that dull day, when you're stood outside, you will get more than you get in. Just looking out the window, although you'll get some of it, you won't get as much as you will for physically going outside. So going for a walk, but when you do go out, not wearing sunglasses, because if you're wearing the sunglasses, you're not going to get hardly anything through. So you want to be out without sunglasses to try and increase that amount of light that's getting through into your pineal gland to make the melatonin to help you sleep. But it's going out at the right time of day. So like, you don't go on screens in the evening, or you shouldn't go on blue screens in the evening. You want to make sure that you're going outside when the light is the correct. So first, early morning, the light is really good for helping make that melatonin, or in the early afternoon. And just 20 minutes of being outside in the morning will give you a real boost for your melatonin production. So it's not like you have to sit out there for 5 hours or anything like that. So going through, just going for a walk, or sitting, if you've got a porch you can sit on and have your morning coffee or your morning tea or whatever, just for 20 minutes, that can help produce that melatonin. Like I say, going out without the sunglasses on, that'll be good. Okay. Why we don't want to be using phones and screens and computers and things like that in the evening is because of the blue light. So that blue light makes it think it's morning. So when we go out in the morning for our cup of coffee to get that light, that is that blue light. That's what's making the melatonin. So if you're on your screens in the evening, you're getting blue light, which thinks it's morning, so it's making melatonin, so you're not going to sleep. That's why we encourage you to stay away from screens before you go to bed, as sort of aim for 2 hours, or if you struggle with that, try and cut it back in stages, maybe quarter of an hour, then half an hour, and then an hour, etc., etc. So sleep. The amount that you need is really individual. There is no hard and fast rule that says you need 8 hours. Some people thrive off 6. I think Margaret Thatcher, she was allegedly said to only need 4 hours. She could live off 4 hours sleep. Other people need 9 hours. I'm more to the 9 hours. I tend to go to bed around 10 o'clock and then get up around 7:15, 7:30, sometimes staying a bit later depending on how tired I am. But it's working out what you need. So 90% of adults will sleep between 6 and 9 hours a night. Depending on your age, you will sleep longer. So obviously babies sleep a lot longer because they've got a lot more going on. Toddlers you need more sleep because they've got to process a lot more. And elderly people sleep more because the body is sort of tired and trying to repair itself, etc. When you're ill, you'll sleep more because the body wants to go repair itself, because that's what it also does when you're sleeping. It's repairing it. If you notice, if you cut your mouth or bite your tongue, after you wake up, it's usually fixed. And I remember a surgeon saying to me that the reason they do that is because in the wild, if a rabbit can't, for example, a rabbit damages its mouth, if it can't eat, the rabbit dies. So it heals really, really quickly. So that's why, when you're ill, you're sleeping more because your body is trying to repair or fight the infection and stuff like that. So it's putting all its energy into making you well. 1 in 4 adults have some sort of sleep issue. And it was apparently a lot more than that during the pandemic because of the increase of people with anxiety and the increase of people drinking alcohol and working in the bedroom. So make it, alcohol doesn't help with sleep because then your body's got to break it all down, so you don't sleep well. Even though you think you do, you don't really sleep well when you're drinking a lot of alcohol. But also working in the bedroom, that's a stimulation, and that doesn't help with sleep either. So to help with sleep, there's good evidence that reducing your stimulus control, for example, like removing the laptop or your workstation out your bedroom, can help improve your sleep. Cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia was recognised by NICE, which is the National Institute for Clinical Excellence in the UK, which gives advice on the best practice that doctors are supposed to follow, was recommended by NICE in 2016. So that's 8 years ago? And CBTI is 6 1-hour sessions, and it's behavioural based. The only issue is, if you're struggling with sleep, is there is a huge lack of CBTI therapists. So your GPs are more likely to prescribe sleeping tablets than CBTI. So if you're struggling with sleep, like I say, I've got this handout that's based on the REST program. Speak to your GP to see if you can get a referral for CBTI. So the body has a circadian cycle. So every 45 minutes it goes through dips and peaks, and when you're sleeping at night, again you've still got that 45-minute cycle. So you've got 45 minutes of REM, about 45 minutes of non-REM, and that continues until you wake up. But changing the clock's going back forwards or going through jet lag, that will affect your ability to sleep because it puts to pot all your routines and stuff like that. Okay. Right, so so to help with sleep, starting off with having a really good routine. Trying to go to bed at the same time every night. Not going one night 7 o'clock, one night 11 o'clock, then 8 o'clock. Then you want to go at the same time every night, and try and get up the same time every morning, 7 days a week. And eventually your body will tell you, time to go to bed now, and it's time to wake up. I find I tend not to set my alarm unless I really, really have to. But I'm tending to wake up sort of more naturally around the time the alarm goes off anyway. And you probably got relatives that that are retired, that are still waking up at the time they used to get up to go to work, even though they've been retired for 10 years or whatever. And that's because your body's just got into that routine of getting up at that time. Having a bedtime routine is really, really important. You're wanting to make sure that you're calm, because remember, stress stops us doing things. If you're stressed, you've got high cortisol levels, that's going to stop you sleeping. So making sure that you're calm before you go to bed. And remember, you want to, that sleep is really important, because like I said, when you're tired, you don't feel like you don't want to do anything, you lose motivation, and eventually you end up with like the anxiety and depression and stuff like that. Okay, so just as a abide by, the menopause plan, the 7-week program that I offer, week 2 we look at routines and sleep and stuff. What's your bedtime routine like? What's your morning routine like? Because if you can get into a really good routine, that can bring down the stress levels, so you're not running around like a headless chicken trying to do everything. And if in the 6-month program, the Mastering Your Menopause, you will get a CBT, the REST program CBTI, second generation assessment done as part of that program. So, right, So what is the REST program? So the REST program, like I said, is second generation cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. So it is REST stands for stuff. So it stands for, the R is routine, then it's we look at environment, then stimulation control, and then the last one, T, is thinking. So routine. We'll start off with routine. So like I said, the body has a circadian rhythm. 45 minutes you change. So every 45 minutes you will go through a dip. 45 minutes later you go through a peak. So your peak is when you suddenly feel full of energy and you can run a marathon. Your dip 45 minutes later is when you'll yawn. So working out where your dips are will really help with routine. So the next time you yawn, look at the time and then look ahead, and 90 minutes later and you'll more than likely be yawning around that same time. So you want to work ahead. So if you notice you're yawning at 1 o'clock, your next dip will be 1 to half 2, then 4 o'clock, half 5, half 5, 7, half 8, 10. So you aim your bedtime around, for example, 10 o'clock-ish. So going to bed just before you dip, so you're ready, so you're already in bed, ready for that dip. Because if you go to bed in the midst of your peak, you're ready to run around the country or run a marathon, you'll never get to sleep. So working out where your dips are is a good start. Working out how much sleep you need. Do you need 4 hours or do you need 10 hours? Once you know how much you need, then you can again set a time to go to bed and get up. And then, like I say, keep making sure you're going to bed at the same time each day and getting up at the same time each day to help with that routine. If you go to bed and you can't get to sleep and you're still lying there 20 minutes later, half an hour later, an hour later, get up. The sooner you can get up, the better. Go and do something non-stimulating, like read a book. Don't look at the phone. Don't, go downstairs, sit down. Don't have something to eat. You want to do something really calming and relaxing, and you want to wait for that next dip. Because if you've missed your dip and you're in your peak, lying there tossing and turning, you're never going to get to sleep. You want to wait for your next dip. Okay. Like I said, going out in natural daylight to produce the melatonin, but you want to avoid going outside and going for a walk about 2 hours before dusk, because that's when the light changes and you don't want to be that will start waking you up. And again, avoiding blue lights before bed, so staying off phones, tablets, whatever. And if you struggle with 2 hours, start cutting it back, quarter of an hour, and then do half an hour. Right, so environment. What's your bedroom like? It needs to be as relaxing as possible. Does it look like a computer shop? Is it like PC World? Is there your work computer in there, a television, a tablet, electronics? Could you set up a display, a showroom with the electronics in your bedroom? If you can try and remove them. If you've got a clock, and when you're waking up, you're always looking at the clock thinking, oh my god, it's 2 o'clock, oh my god, it's 3 o'clock, oh my god, I have to sleep, yes, I've got to get up at 7 o'clock. Remove the clock or move it away from you, turn the face away so you can't see it, put it the other side of the room. So when you're waking up, I really look at, I've got a radio alarm. Yep, I have. And the screen goes dark unless you you wake it up. So when I wake up at night, I don't know what time it is. I don't know if it's 20 minutes after I've gone to bed or if it's 10 minutes before I'm supposed to get up. I can try and I live sort of on a main road, so I can try and work out the time with the traffic going past. But yeah, I don't look at the clock. And then if you're not looking at the clock, you're not stressing yourself out. So if you're still asleep, wake at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not sat there thinking, oh my god, I've only got 4 hours before I'm going to get up. You don't know if it's 3 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever. So getting rid of the time can help reduce, because if you're stressed, cortisol's up, you won't sleep. Environment, making sure the room is dark, it's cool. If you have a fan, if it's too warm, you have a fan. And if you're your bed linen, try and use natural fibres like cotton, and the same for nightwear as well. And especially if you're having hot flushes and sweats, you want that natural fibre, because that will draw the sweat away and keep you cool. Wearing no clothes in bed won't help, because the sweat will then just stay on you. So you're wanting to wear something natural fibre like cotton, linen, so it soaks up the sweat and keeps you cool. So calm environment, dark, peaceful. Bedrooms should be, a sanctuary where it's all calm and, it's not a busy place, because you want to get into that calm mindset. Stimulation control. So the S. Try to avoid drinking too much in the evening, so you're not having to you're not waking up to use the loo. Again, if you struggle with that, start cutting it back slowly. Start with half an hour, an hour. Avoid drinking coffee. Drink it earlier in the day, because caffeine has got a 12-hour half-life, so it's still working 12 hours after you've drunk it. So if you're still drinking coffee at 8 o'clock at night, that's going to stimulating it. So if you need to drink coffee, try drinking decaffeinated, or stop it earlier in the day and change it for something else, or change it for herbal tea or whatever. Avoiding alcohol and smoking about 2 hours before bed, because that helps, because they will prevent you getting into that really deep sleep that you need. And again, alcohol doesn't help with sleep, because your body has to break it down. Your body's working overtime, your liver's working overtime to break that alcohol down. As much as we think, oh, I'll just have a few glasses because it helps us sleep, it does affect your ability, the quality of sleep that you're getting. Stimulation again. Avoiding exercise about 2 hours before you go to bed, because exercise, as I've said before, causes an increase in cortisol, stress hormones, because you're in that fight and flight mode, because you potentially, if you, especially at the gym, you're on a treadmill, you're running. So all your energy is going into your muscles and your heart and your lungs to get the oxygen there that it needs to keep running. So you'll come off and your cortisol will be high. So you want to make sure that you're exercising at least 2 hours before bed. Try and do it earlier in the day. And if you're doing it earlier in the day, it will help you sleep, because you're exhausted, you're physically exhausting yourself. And then T, overthinking. A lot of people, especially when they're stressed, will struggle with sleep because their mind is going 100 miles an hour. I'm always talking to, in the occupational health role, I'm always talking to people with anxiety, depression, that can't sleep because their minds are overworrying. Look, you're worrying about everything. It's just everything. It's just, I haven't got enough sausages, I haven't got enough baked beans, oh my god, I've got to buy a Christmas present. I've got to get the birthday cards, I haven't cleaned, done the laundry, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I can't do this, I can't reach that, I can't do that. And that keeps you awake. I have nights where I start thinking about something and it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs. So try doing a mind dump before you go to bed. Think of those thoughts and put them on a piece of paper, and then you can rationalise them. Right, and then look at them. For example, yes, we do need sausages, but I don't need them till Saturday. Today is only Tuesday, so I've got plenty of time to go and get them. Or yes, I do need to tell my boss that, but I can't do it at 10 o'clock at night because he'll be in bed, so I can do that tonight, etc, etc. Calming, getting those thoughts down gives you, you've rationalised them, you don't need to worry about them anymore. And then you deal with, you can look at the list the next day and go, oh right, okay, well I can deal with that now, I can deal with that now, and then cross that off. Okay, so there's some techniques to try and get off to bed. There is another technique that I have tried and I use on a regular basis if you're struggling to get off to sleep. It's reverse psychology. It's lying there with your eyes open and tell yourself to stay awake. Just keep repeating, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake, and that will get you off to sleep. The state, I don't know really how it works, but the fact that you're saying to yourself, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake, stops all the thoughts coming into your head, so you don't get that overthinking. So that's really helpful. Right, what else? I have got my 10 magical tips for getting good sleep. So, like I said, it's based on the rest program. So I'm going to share that again. So, and then some tips. There's a checklist at the end. So, tips is avoiding caffeine after lunch if you can. Try to limit or avoid alcohol. Making sure your room is dark and cool, avoiding blue screens before you go to bed. Don't look at the time during the night. Yeah, try that. Just turn your clock away. Avoid eating, exercising, hot baths and showers 2 hours before bed because they stimulate you. And go to bed on a positive note. Write 3 to 5 things down that have happened during the day. Doesn't matter when you're a bit low and feeling a bit crappy and nothing seems to be going right, you want to be looking for the silver lining in the clouds. So writing down positive things that have happened during the day. My business coach uses abundance. There's abundance everywhere, and the more you celebrate it, the more you'll find it. It's the same with positives. And it's I tell people, when you're looking for your positives, it doesn't have to be, I won the lottery, or, I've retired and I've got, 6 weeks off work or whatever. It can be as little, as small as, I got out of bed this morning, I got dressed, I washed up, I did the vacuuming, I did the dusting,